juju. Sweet are the juju.
Sugar, 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 give me chocolate. Honey, honey, give me craving all of this. No nicey, nicey, girl, I intend to make a mess. Caressing by the sun, naturally done. I could be in your essence for days. Oh la la la, oh la la la. Give me the fun. All I want to see is you in my hands and I cocoa. Moist and warm, say mama, can I be your papa? Coffee to my dreamer, yeah. I come from a land and I need some chocolate. The way glistening, I need some chocolate. My sugar, 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 give me chocolate. I need your melanin, I need your chocolate.
That's a new track by Adam O and Victoria's Chocolate. You can get it on any platform that exists for music, and just, I don't know how much you're gonna pay. I'm sure it's not $100. Pay for it.
Even if
download
it's 100,
it.
even if
It's
100,
worth it.
then buy it.
It's
Yeah,
worth
It is.
Because y'all does pay a whole lot more for a whole lot less. All right, so good morning. This is the People's Chat Room. We are live on Facebook, and I want to encourage y'all to please find us on YouTube. We've started a YouTube channel, but in order for us to get our URL, we need at least 100 subscribers. So please go to YouTube, find the People's Chat Room, subscribe, and eventually, once we see a certain amount of followers on there, we will start streaming on YouTube. But right now, we're on Facebook. And you can listen to us on iTunes Radio from 12 to 2 p.m. And on Sundays, the show is played, the recorded format of the show is played on islandbeatradio.net from 12 also to 2 p.m. So we got a stacked show today. We are going to bring on Mr. Rio Nelson. He is our fitness and wellness instructor. He is also an iTunes Entertainment Magazine contributor, one of our new contributors, along with Canute Neil Ellis and Miss Shaz Brown, hairstylist to the stars. We want you to look out for the magazine next week, or I should say by tomorrow. We'll let you know. The cover is Vaughan. In the meantime, it's all about the People's Chat Room. So, you ready for Rio?
I'm waiting for Rio. Rio, come on.
Oh, you're waiting on Rio?
I'm waiting on Rio.
Okay, Rio.
Rio.
This thing needs to go to time.
Come on, Rio.
And in our DJ Spotlight, I tell you, we're focusing all on iTunes DJs for the next couple of weeks. When we're done with the iTunes DJs, then, you know, charity begins at home and then ends abroad. That's how we look at it, right? So we have a lineup of iTunes DJs that we will be featuring in the DJ Spotlight. Code, you're featured every Saturday that we come on.
Oh, I'm featuring myself today.
All right. This is DJ Code. Okay, Black. Oh, man. You didn't show me that when I walked in earlier on Black Lives Matter.
You wasn't paying attention.
I like that. I need to get my own.
You wasn't paying attention.
Black Lives Matter.
You wasn't paying attention.
You know, Black Lives Matter. And again, I said this last week. I'm going to say it again. Yes, the second hour of the show, we've got our guests on the second hour of the show, but you need to tune in from 12 o'clock because that first hour got a lot of meat to it too, because we're continuing the conversation of, yes, Black lives do matter. We're talking about the civil rights movement then to the civil rights movement now. And it's this, we're still fighting for the same thing. Still fighting for the same thing. And while we're at it, I need to let y'all know, yes, I've been in a hyper-vigilant mood since 45 was put into office.
Yeah, was it 4 years, 3 years?
Almost, a little over 3 years.
Three and a half.
I want all of y'all who are citizens of these United States of America to get your collective asses out to vote. The Black Lives Matter movement and the people that have been marching since George Floyd's murder, they're doing their part. And I'm hoping that that transitions into votes in November. We gotta vote. If you don't think that they will come for you, if you don't think that somebody in your family will or won't be the next George Floyd. Think again, it can happen to any of us. It can even happen to white people, because you see what happened to that 70-something-year-old gentleman that was pushed. They're no respecter of people. Get our, I say our now, collective asses out to vote in November. It's the beginning or the continuation of change. We got Rio yet?
Yeah, you might have to get Rio call, you know. Might have to get Rio call. Yeah,
Hey, Rio.
I send Rio calling you.
He's on the phone.
Why Rio on the phone? I send Rio the WhatsApp. The Zoom information. I will put Rio business on blast.
So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to try and call you and see if you can. Give me 2 minutes and I'll call you back.
So his Zoom not working?
He said he can't do it.
Don't touch this wife. Don't touch this wife. Don't touch this wife. It's the wrong mix. Don't touch this wife. Don't touch this wife. Don't touch this. Once again, it's a friend. Once again, it's a friend. Don't touch this wife. Don't touch this wife. Don't touch this wife. It's the wrong mix.
Yeah.
Okay, I had myself muted. How you doing? I know you're having some little problems with the Zoom. So sometime Code already
Yeah.
has your number, so he'll try and get with you to see what the kink is, because so that going forward you wouldn't have that problem, all right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start talk wellness and fitness. Go at it. We're listening.
Okay. So you anything? You understand that?
Keep talking.
Oh. Okay.
You're on right now.
Well, good morning. Good morning out there. I am Rio.
Okay. You're going in and out, so we're not getting a consistent. We're not hearing you consistently. It's no regular phone. So I tell you what. No, I'm not going to call him on WhatsApp. Just keep talking. We're going to try and fix what we can on this end, but in the meantime, you continue talking, Rio. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. I'm very glad to hear.
Okay, this is what we're going to have to do, because we're not hearing you. You're going in, out, like that. It's like patchy. So we're going to have to try and fix it and have you back next week, Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's try.
Yeah, happiness is the measure of success. Somebody say, "Why yo, why yo?" Eh, 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 eh. Yeah. Somebody say, "Why yo, why yo?" Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You see me as a man, love to play, love to jam. You see me as a man, I always happy once money in the hand, but I don't got no time for no worries. I don't got no time for no stress in my head, I'm on my mind. So I'm ready to go on the road. I come out to live my life, play a mass and live my life. I'm the happiest man alive. I come out to live my life, drink a rum and live my life. I'm the happiest man alive. Somebody say, whoa, oh, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. Live my life, oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Live my life. Carnival is a time when the girls, they come out to wine.
So I gotta say good morning to my Facebook family as well as my iTunes radio family. Mike, good morning, my brother. Eva Marie, how you doing, girl? Yes, Chocolate is a catchy song, and I'm hoping that I could inveigle Code to play it again somewhere along the line before we leave at the top of the hour. Treyon Clark, how you doing? What's up, family? Stephen Charles, my sister, keep doing you. I'm working on it, man. You know, I'm really working on it. So, my actual sister, Joan Dunbar, she's listening too on Facebook. So we're going to get ready for GI Trini. Next week, we're going to bring back our fitness and wellness instructor, Mr. Rio Nelson, because we'll just try and figure out how to make the Zoom work, okay, properly. So that way we can see him as well as hear him, because the phone call just wasn't working out.
Live my life, live my life. Somebody say,
Want to say good morning to DJ Militia and also good morning to Mr. Leon Caldero. How you doing in Trinidad right now, Leon? As well as Mr. Biggie Irie out in Barbados.
I don't got no time. I'm no stress in my head, I'm on my mind. So I'm ready to go on the road. I come out to live my life, jump around and live my life. Play a mass and live my life. I'm the happiest man alive. I come out to live my life, live my life, yeah. Live my life. Drink a rum and live my life. I'm the happiest man alive. Somebody say, whoa, oh, drink a rum and yeah, play a mass and live my life. The happiest people alive. Somebody say, whoa, oh, jump around and yeah, drink a rum and live my life. The happiest people alive. Somebody say.
So we're getting ready for Mr. G.I. Trini. Gwendolyn Hicks, good morning. Clayton Blackman, good morning. Tricky Finger, good morning. Okay, so we ready for the DJ Spotlight. Gallery myself enough. You know that term code? Gallery myself.
Yeah, something like that.
Wait a sec. You know what that mean, right?
I hear something like that about
that's old school.
50 years ago, before I was born.
Oh, Lord. Mr. G.I. Trini.
Lima, what's going on?
You tell me how everything. Everything good?
Yeah, I good. Code Red, what's going on?
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome.
So I'm looking. Okay, where am I supposed to look? Because I really want to look at him.
You want to look at him. All right. So.
All right. Thank you. Look at that fancy thing. He bring it over on this screen. Thank you very much. I can't. I forget. Well, I don't like looking up at that camera thing. So.
You know, she makes things so difficult, but I love her.
What you drink? We're having that bottle.
Water. I drinking water.
Are we supposed to believe you?
I gotta prepare for later on.
So we have you in our DJ Spotlight today, and the DJ Spotlight was an idea that Mike came up with that I thought was really, really cool. We started off with Mike. We used him as the guinea pig. Then last week we had DJ Steven, and now you're in the hot seat, right? So
no problem.
We want to know, how have you managed during the whole shelter in place and social distancing as a DJ doing your thing? Now, I know every Saturday you do Road Ready, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes, but How have you been managing?
It's been hard at times, but I'm still working. Thank God I'm still working. So I don't have like the pleasure to stay home. I got to go out there every day. No matter if you got to stay home, I'm still out there every day. Still got to work.
Now, you say you're still working, but I saw some photos. I looked at your Facebook page.
Oh Lord.
Like
Here
you're all
it
guilty.
comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes.
And you were in the military
Yes, I was.
for how many years?
I did 3 years.
3 years. In what branch?
Army.
Army. How was it?
I got ups and downs. Make some good, some bad.
How much good compared to how much bad?
Say about 2-1.
He trying to be nice.
Yeah. Politically correct.
Oh God, he's trying to be politically correct. So I'm gonna put you on the hot seat a little bit more.
That's no problem.
Last week was it week before when 45 used the photo up before the photo up. They had canisters, flash bombs or whatever, and then they brought in the National Guardsmen who have all signed on the dotted line because they have to follow the Constitution. It's amazing how we have to follow the Constitution, but his bitch ass don't have to follow the Constitution. Yeah, Wendy. If you were still in the military, you would have had to go, right?
Not necessarily, because they call National Guard to the streets. I was active duty, so they would have to sign a whole nother law to bring federal troops into the states. Because they're not allowed to bring federal into the state.
Well, they wasn't supposed to bring the National Guard. Well, yeah, the National Guard first.
Easy. Yeah, National
Not
Guard.
National Guards in state.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's why they use them for that, to get it past the law.
Yeah.
But they don't have to sign an additional law.
No, not for the National Guard.
Not for the
Well, you see, the reason too why I'm asking that question is because now you're finding out. Because I was even questioning, why are they there? I mean, how do they feel having to, police their brothers, their sisters? Because some of them had family out there. You know what I'm saying? And now you
I
find
agree.
out that it wasn't something that they wanted to do. One of them said he saw his brother. He actually saw his brother in that crowd, and he was proud of his brother being there because his brother could do what he couldn't do at that point in time, which was
Yes.
protest. But then I'm gonna deviate a little bit, so let me bring it back. You do Road Ready Saturdays
Yes.
every Saturday night,
Each and every Saturday.
and you're on for how many hours, my brother?
Sometimes 2, sometimes 4, maybe 5, 6, depending on how the vibe is going. I can stay on all night.
And I got to tell you,
Wait.
okay,
6 hours.
that's why I had to ask him when he having that
6
bottle
hours?
because.
Yeah. 6 hours.
You stand up for
I'm
6
telling you,
hours?
he is, and he just
You
be
stand up for 6
No,
hours?
he's going to take a bathroom break every now and then.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
he have macarons with him, and macarons is be on the ones and twos.
Okay.
And then there was one night, it was him and Jay Rocker, and I was like, I don't know,
Okay.
Jason.
All right.
I don't know how much Jason had to drink that night, but you all were just going on and on, and I couldn't log off, boy.
Okay. I get that.
Crazy.
You have help, because let me tell you something. After 3 hours, I watching my controller, I watching my Serato and all kind of cross eye and like, yo, me and you ain't gonna make it.
Man, he does be good, and he have a head bob that is go with it, right? It does be like this, a head bob. It's like, oh my. Where do y'all get the energy
Yo,
from?
serious though.
It's when the music take over. Once that music take over, you just feel it. You can't stop.
For so many hours.
Yeah, hours upon hours.
Hours upon hours. So, I mean, as an iTunes DJ, you're part of the family. I mean, I feel that as a family, we are always there for one another. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I had to go with iTunes Radio Family first and then bring everybody else on. DJ Stevens was an exception. You know what I mean? So with the whole shelter in place and social distancing, it hasn't really impacted you that much because you've been able to keep busy.
Yes, I've been keeping busy. It hasn't affected me at all.
Okay, so you're one of the
You asked him a question, he answered. You want people to give a whole life story.
Yeah, you ready to give your whole life story?
Lord.
You see, yeah, I already peeped the scene. I peeped the scene already.
Well, I gotta let him go because I gotta make room for Senator Sean Silvers. But I'll be locked on tonight because Road Ready Saturday starts at 8 o'clock, right?
Yes. Start at 8 and maybe finish at 10, maybe not.
Trust me, they go past 10 o'clock. They do. All 11, 12 o'clock, he's still there jamming songs. And you just have a whole ton of other people tuning in because when you look at the numbers, it just be, what?
The numbers reflect the amount of hours
Yes,
he paid.
yes.
All right.
Yes. The most people I had in there was probably 155 at one time.
Yo, respect on them numbers. Respect on them numbers.
And
Appreciate you.
You were one of the people, as well as Code, and most of well, I pay attention to the iTunes DJs, that you'll have been able to capitalize on the fact that Shelter in Place, convert that into numbers on social media and do your thing on social media. And you've been one of those people to capitalize on that. So more power to you. Almost lift my leg.
Yes. Thank you.
Right on. So I'll be locked in tonight. You take care, all right?
All right. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you. Code. I see you around.
Yeah, I'll come and do a half an hour. I ain't doing that. So.
Seriously.
I ain't doing that. So.
They like they're on steroids or something. I don't know what. That's music on steroids, but it's fun. It's fun listening and watching.
Joke. I cannot DJ sitting down. You don't have the energy and the vibe to sit down and DJ, right?
Yeah.
So you're standing up. But then to stand up for true when that 3 hour and 1 minute hit, your back looking at it, like, yo, you ain't gonna sit down.
I don't think he have any back problems because he just be right there. I tell him the only time you see a blank screen and you hear any music is when he probably go take a bathroom break.
Smart,
you know, if Mecca Rose is there, she fills in. That night it was Mecca, it was J Rocker, it was, oh my goodness. He does have help sometimes.
Yeah, we go talk.
But when he have no help,
we go talk.
You see the blank screen, you know he go into the bathroom for a break. And then he come back and he's back at it like this. And it's like, oh my goodness.
You ready to go again?
All right. We talk to you later. Locked in.
All right, later.
8 o'clock, Road Ready Saturday. So, Facebook people, listen. Be clocked in, be logged on. And if you're on iTunes Radio, listening because this is pure music madness.
Thank you. Have a good night.
So we gotta get ready. All right, so we gotta get ready for Senator Sean Silvers, UNC Senator Sean Silvers. He's my nephew, and we've sent the Zoom link, so we're trying to see if we can get him on there. All right. In the meantime, let me say hi. Oh, next week Saturday, our guests will be Dr. Lane Rawling, as well as attorney Marlon Hill, who is running for District 9 in Miami. Okay? So in the meantime, oh my goodness, I think I had a little bit too much coffee to drink. Sorry about that. I hope you all enjoying the vibes. And again, let me take this opportunity to encourage you all to tune into the show from the 12 o'clock hour. I know that many of you on Facebook, you'll tune in when we go live on Facebook, but I'm encouraging you to please tune in from the 12 o'clock hour because that first hour has a lot of great information on it, as well as some awesome music. All right, so let me take a little break as we get ready for Mr. Sean Silvers.
burning like burning. Sunny time you in my mind, but tonight it's up on me head. Love you, my baby, I said. Oh, you hear me down? How can?
I won't take it anymore. Adios, mi amor. Russian, she take me for a joke.
We want to encourage you to find us on YouTube and subscribe to the link, because when you have 100 subscribers, we can get our URL, because our intention is to eventually start streaming from YouTube and not Facebook. Have Facebook as a backup. So please go to YouTube, find the People's Chat Room and subscribe, please. I've already uploaded at least 6 or 7 shows on there. Shows from 2017 and 3 of our most recent shows. One with Chet Samuel, that was the Mother's Day show. Then we had the one with Dr. Lane Rollin, and then Master Herbalist Patrick Delves. So please visit YouTube, subscribe to our channel so that we can hit that mark of 100 subscribers and get our URL, and then move beyond 100 into some higher digits. Are we ready? So,
Is sinking. If we don't bail out, we're gonna drown. My cup is overflowing. I've had enough now. So anytime you decide to pack up your things and leave, don't come back. One go, don't come back. I won't cry, I'll be fine. Don't come. Anytime you're ready, when you're ready. No. Don't come back. And do not make you do a ritual where the good Lord split you. If you feel
right.
like you have me wrapped up around.
good morning, Sean.
Morning.
So for all our radio listeners and those of you on Facebook, this is UNC Senator Sean Sobers. He's also my nephew, okay? So if every now and then he lapses into auntie, that's for him to say, nobody else, okay? Not unless you're my nephew or my niece. So Sean, welcome to the People's Chat Room.
Thank you so much for having me, Auntie.
You're welcome. You see? That's all right. So I get, so because he's family, I am going to be soft on him.
No,
Yes, I am.
Today he's not
Yes,
nephew.
He is
He's not nephew today.
He is my nephew. He'll always
not
be my
today.
nephew. So I'm going to be.
After the show, he's your nephew.
I don't mind you being harsh on me. I'm properly ready and prepared. Because the hat that I wear for the interview is really on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, understood. Respect that.
So let me just say hi to some of our listeners. We've got Cheryl Sue, who's one of my friends from back in the day. Blessings from Barbados. She's also a Trini. And Miss Irma Sanoa is also listening. So let's go all in, okay? Coming from a household that is a PNM background, what made you decide to join the UNC?
Well, that's true. Well, Auntie, you would know mommy and dad, they support the PNM in terms of the policies that the party had at a point in time. But when I indicate to persons that I made an informed decision to join the United National Congress, I actually mean what I say. You would know that my parents are the most supportive people in the world, at least in terms of my life. And they've never forced their ideology on me in any way, form, or fashion. They always nurtured growth, nurtured independent thinking once it was informed or coming from an informed point of view. And so when I left Trinidad and Tobago and I went to the UK to complete my legal studies, I would have gone to the UK during a period in time when the London riots were taking place or just finishing up. And the atmosphere during that period was so charged, it was electrifying, that many young persons like myself were part of a movement that wanted change. And I remember sitting in my flat at that point in time, first time I've ever been away from home, being very dependent upon my parents, having conversations with persons who were extremely independent and they were actually my age, really moved me to start to ask certain important questions about governance and what good governance should be, and the difference between equality and equity, which most persons really don't understand. And I was told by a flatmate of mine who's from Iran, as a matter of fact, living in the UK, or Iranian descendant, I should say, that really and truly, if you want actual change to occur, that change must first be manifested within you. And then it would show outwards in terms of your actions and activities that you engage in. And I mean, it's something that is so simple, but so extremely profound. When I came back home, I really wanted to be part of a movement of change. And at that point in time, the UNC, being part of the People's Partnership, was the government of the day. And there were things that I weren't 100% happy with. And so, the first port of call, I went to a meeting of the People's National Movement. And I'm coming from a background of law. I'm coming from a background having just left the UK, involved in activities that were really change related and change oriented. And I'm there asking some very hard questions. And I got absolutely no answers whatsoever. As a matter of fact, in most instances, my questions were basically ignored. And it was a level of, at least in that particular meeting, there was a level of autocratic behavior that I couldn't subscribe to. And so I stayed away from the politics for at least about 4 or 5 years. And then I went to a political meeting by the UNC when they were in opposition. And the level of inclusion by our current political leader for a person like myself who came at the meeting as a technocrat on a particular bill that was coming before the parliament, the level of consensus being adopted by the political leader with all persons within the room, be it government, be it MPs, senators, and technocrats like myself, was astounding. And it reminded me of that time that I spent in the UK. And I told myself, this is a political party with a political leader with certain policies that I could definitely subscribe to. So when I indicate to people that my decision to be here was an informed one, I can in fact back it up, because I would have experienced both sides of the divide. And no one is actually perfect. No political party, political system would ever be perfect. But this is the place where I feel most wanted and where I think I can actually and truly make a difference.
I'm listening to you, and I'm also juxtaposing certain episodes in my head of what is happening currently in this country, slightly similar to when you were in school, some of the episodes or experiences that you mentioned, and then at the same time, I'm also thinking of a time that I went to a particular event. It was black people. We all looked alike. We all had melanin skin. But the level of arrogance that was in the room turned me off. And I think that experience is similar to what you referred to when you went to that first PNM meeting when you returned from England.
No, you see, the only thing I want to make it abundantly clear, and in terms of my campaigning thus far, I've done that. In terms of the relief efforts that we've done, especially during this pandemic period,
which we will talk about later on.
I'm not concerned whatsoever with anybody's political card. Once you were in need, I assisted. And albeit that, and I have a lot of friends, young people as well, who are currently involved in the PNM. And I say hats off to them, because they come from the same space that I come from, where they want a significant amount of change, even in that political party. So my experience, I understand as an informed and educated person that my experience then may not be the experience that many other people would have had in terms of being involved in the party. And I in no way mean to demonize anyone.
No, I know you don't mean to.
Yeah,
And a lot
everybody's
of times,
experience is
whenever I say certain things on this show, it's me saying it, not you saying it as the guest. And I want this to be abundantly clear, please. When I make a statement on this show, as I do almost every Saturday, it's coming from my mouth. It's not coming from the guest. Okay? We have that understanding. Yeah. So now the second question. I want to hear your response to this one. How do you feel about going up against the popular incumbent, Faris Alwari? I hope I said his name correctly.
Yes, it is. Well, I mean, I guess he is popular for some people. He's unpopular for some people, just like I guess I am as well too. I think the biggest response, at least in terms of what I've gotten from being on the ground, I am very confident about my chances in this general election. Um, he's a parliamentary colleague now. He sits in the Senate from time to time because he's the Attorney General pilots many of the bills. He's also a past student of Presentation College, which I am as well too. And on many occasions, the Hansard of the Parliament will bear me out on this. We do see eye to eye on many bills that pass through the House and the Senate. What I've come to understand from persons within the constituency is that they find that he is not present. So he's absent. He is not someone that they can access quite easily. And it doesn't augur well with respect to the people-centered representation that most persons within the constituency want from a representative in Parliament. Some people have said that it is based upon the fact that he is the Attorney General, so he's extremely busy. And that may very well be true. Most attorneys generals in the past would usually be senators and not MPs because of how onerous the job is. But what I've come to understand as well too, I mean, we have some real stellar examples of persons who sat in more prominent positions than he, and they really serve their constituency. And I mean, I would like to give examples of that. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, she sat as Prime Minister, and Siparia loves her. Mr. Patrick Manning, he was my MP for many years growing up as a young child. Yeah, and we wanted for nothing in San Fernando East. And he was Prime Minister for many of those years as well too. So I think it's not fair entirely.
And accessible. I mean, you could see Patrick,
very accessible.
God rest his soul.
Very accessible, yeah. And I mean, as Attorney General and even as Prime Minister, you are the second highest ranking member of the cabinet. You could change the lives of so many people within your constituency with just one phone call to any one of your cabinet colleagues. And the fact that most persons don't feel that way, the fact that there are no tangible changes in the lives of many persons within the constituency, it demonstrates a lack of compassion on the part of the individual to those persons. Apart from that, I would openly say I think he's a pretty decent guy. I mean, all press men are. But we're vying for the same position now. I don't think it will change either of us. We've both indicated openly that our campaign will be one that we intend to hold out to the rest of the country. What campaign should be. It is going to be a very clean campaign.
Just about to say that. No dirty digs or anything like that.
Everybody none whatsoever. He has demonstrated that time and time again. I have demonstrated that time and time again. And we intend to show the country what real campaigning should be about, and as focusing specifically on the issues that
and I sure hope that when you win, because I mean, this is hey, I'm rooting for you. When you win, that he will continue to work with you in instances where you may need his help.
I think he will. I think he will.
It's San Fernando West. So let me just give you all a little insight. This is UNC Senator Sean Sobers. He's running for San Fernando West in Trinidad and Tobago because elections is in August, right?
No, we don't have an actual date for the election just yet. It's
okay.
Constitutionally due this year.
This year. They haven't set the date yet. Okay, so elections will be this year in Trinidad and Tobago, and my nephew, yes, he is, Senator Sean Sobers is running for the seat for San Fernando West. Third question, and I got to give props to some of these questions that will, I got this particular one from your cousin, Darren, and also from Mr. Earl Turpin, because I was like, I got to put some questions together. You know, but because I've been away from home for so long, I kind of like was having a hard time trying to remember how the system worked and all of that. You know, please excuse me, okay? I'm putting my business out there. So, okay, what is your position on the public's access to the proposed salary relief grants and other such initiatives, as well as their effectiveness? And do you have any recommendations?
Wow. I have so much to say when it comes to this issue. When the pandemic just hit Trinidad and Tobago, my position, and I think generally the party's position, was that, and it was reflected in an interview that I did in March, that the government was the one to lead this charge to defeat this pandemic, and that we responsible members of the opposition and civil society would assist in whatever way we could, because we appreciate that the government, they can't be omnipresent, that there would be persons who would be in need, and we could come together to fill that void, and to supplement the actions of the government. And so when persons heard about the salary relief grant, the rental relief grant, and all the other grants that were being proffered to the people, we thought to ourselves, well, all right, this is good. Persons are going to be assisted, and they would need that assistance now, because you're talking about targeting the most vulnerable persons within our society. And what I think a lot of people didn't understand is that that bracket of persons widened tremendously during this period.
Sure
Because
did.
you had persons who weren't initially part of that group because they were employed, unfortunately, in some instances living paycheck to paycheck. And when these services were cut off, they lost their jobs, and they automatically fell within this group of most vulnerable persons. So the bracket widened tremendously. And so we did the hamper drive that we had. We asked for donations. We started a food bank. We started doing a lot of services, but I can specifically recall a date. I think it would have been in early April, no, ending up of March, when the application process came out for persons to access those relief grants. And I went into my office, which is located a stone's throw away from the social welfare office, to do a little bit of work. I had some tying up of work to do. And I was inundated with telephone calls from persons who went to the office, the office, asking for the applications. And what happened to them is that when they went, the doors were closed. They were met by a security officer at the institution who simply gave them a slip of paper. And on that slip of paper, there was an email address and there was a website address.
Okay, so hold that thought. So let's take what is happening here in Florida and put next to what you just mentioned in there, because you see, not just Florida, the United States as a whole, we've got millions of people looking for jobs because they had to purposely shut the economy down so that people could shelter in place, which is, of course, similar to what you're mentioning. But a lot of people could not get onto the Florida website to apply for unemployment. That went on for weeks. Because, and what we found out after the fact was that that system was set up to fail. So now they have investigation upon investigation. And in the meantime, some people have a lot of people, you know.
Well, it was a tad bit worse in Trinidad insofar as when you're talking about, and I mean, I'm glad that we juxtaposing a bit here. I'm happy to hear that at least in Florida, persons were actually able to log on to our website.
This was weeks later.
Right. No, but that they had the ability to try to do it. In Trinidad, the majority of these most vulnerable people don't have a computer. So how they can log on to the website?
So did they set up locations where you could go in and apply? They
And
didn't.
I mean, so when these people are saying, well, listen, I thought it's a piece of paper you're going to give me to fill out and give it back to you on the spot. No, this is the slip of paper. Follow the instructions when you log onto the website. And they were saying, well, bro, we don't have a computer. And in some instances, they were told, well, go and find a cyber cafe. I can't remember the last time I saw a cyber cafe in Trinidad. And further to that, a cyber cafe was not part of the essential services, so they would definitely not be open. So I had a number of people telephoning me that morning. Thank God I was in my office. I had about 30 people outside my door that we had to log on to the website, print the forms out. So this is what the instructions call for you to do. Log on to the website, print the forms, fill out the forms, scan the forms, and then email it back. So if you don't have a computer, you don't have a scanner, you don't have a printer, how are you going to do those things?
And if you have a printer, more than likely you're not ink in it because they ain't using it.
You see, so the infrastructure was not there for these persons because they are the most vulnerable in society. They
And
don't.
also, a lot of people are not techno savvy. They can't do a lot of those things.
They don't even have the devices. Most important. So right. So you had that hurdle to cross, and then the forms themselves call for a number of pieces of information. And I'm glad that we juxtaposed. Sorry. So the form.
They didn't make it simple.
No, but apart from that, it's not even making the form simple, It's being connected to the people within the country. So for example, the form would have called for persons to provide bank account information. I'm sure many persons in the US would be able to easily fill that out. There are many people in Trinidad, daily paid workers, in some instances, monthly paid workers, who don't have a bank account. They are paid in cash. Thousands of persons. So when you're asking them for a bank account and asking for certain information for BIR information and tax info, the employer is not paying any taxes for them.
So because there is no system, that means a lot of them couldn't even get any money or any.
No, so when we did fill out most of the forms and send them back in, the forms will come back with queries. X spaces not filled, Y places, and then we have to write and say, well, listen, these people don't have a bank account information. The system was not set up to consider those persons. So weeks went by where we got no response. And then only maybe about 6 weeks after, the form was reformatted, the forms were printed and were dropped off at police stations. So COVID has now basically come and gone in Trinidad. The government is indicating that X amount of money has been spent, but we're not seeing the tangible relief on the faces of people within this country. So because I know get any relief.
Is that what prompted you to start that outreach program, to start, the hampers and all of that, to start?
Oddly enough, when and I say this without fear of contradiction, and that's why I think the newspaper, The Guardian, came to us and they visited us and they put the article out. When COVID hit Trinidad and Tobago, many persons really didn't know what to do. I was definitely one of them. And we sat with our team and we were thinking how best we're going to help persons out. And one of the members of the team said, well, listen, let's try and do some food hampers for people because a lot of people will be in need of food supplies and whatnot. And when we decided to get on the ground to do it, we were like, well, listen, you can't put people out there to go and give out these things because you may very well be endangering both the recipients and the persons actually giving out the hampers. I sat with mom and dad and I sat with Lauren and they at home and I told them, well, listen, I can't ask any other member of the team to do this. I will go out there and do it. We will just set up something in the back of the house so I could decontaminate before I come inside. And I alone went out doing it. And many of my colleagues and many persons on the opposite side were a little bit more reserved in terms of what they were doing because we didn't know how this thing would affect people. But when they realized, well, listen, the amount of people in need, people just had to kind of say, well, we will try our best to adhere to the Ministry of Health's directives, but we need to get on the ground and help people out.
Because I got to tell you, when I saw all these images of you you know, with your mask on, of course, but helping with the hampers, with the food, and doing your elbow bunks. My first thought was, I sure hope Sean is taking all the preventative measures he can because, you know, sure, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I went there, but I recognize and listening to you now, you're just kind of confirming that you
yeah,
did take all the
yeah.
prevention that you could have to make sure that there was no transfer or anything. But you all ain't getting hit as bad as we getting hit here. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
you,
yeah,
you see
yeah.
what's
So
going on
that's
here?
why I mean I would want to say I think for the most part in terms of the Ministry of Health systems that were put in place, a considerable amount of them worked well. We have fared so far so good against the pandemic. But there will, and I indicated this at the middle stage of this pandemic period in Trinidad, that there will be a point in time where we will conduct a forensic audit and an autopsy of how we dealt with this situation. And with respect to the health guidelines, we followed them well, we implemented them well, the government did well there. But in terms of social relief, total zero.
Total zero. I like how you're able to look at it objectively and say
Yeah,
yes, they did well here. Here
they
is
did
where
well,
they can
yeah.
do. They could have improved a lot on. So let me ask this question now. Next question. Got to make sure I don't ask the ones that we don't want to ask. Some people believe that the UNC uses blacks as window dressing and that they are not taken seriously. And they say that Jack Warner is a good example of such, and that you should pay attention to how he was treated as a guide for caution. Any thoughts on this?
I think a lot of that type of conversation and narrative is peddled by persons of the old guard who wish to proffer tribal politics and racism into a conversation that unfortunately we are trying to stamp out totally, and we don't want it in the politics. Trinidad and Tobago is a multi-ethnic society. It has been from time immemorial, and we've lived in harmony with each other for ages.
Say
And we
relative
want to keep it
harmony,
that way.
because it's
Right?
not 100%. It's
Nothing is a,
relative
not,
harmony.
well, nothing is 100% though.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, there will be differences and there will be some issues. But we've really done well over these many years, you know. Um, and I think for myself in terms of my opinion on that particular question, I can emphatically say, categorically say, that having been involved with the United National Congress running on about 4 years now, I've only ever felt welcome by all persons within the party. Um, the political leader is someone who has welcomed my entire family, my wife, my daughter. We've been to her home. We've been, welcomed by her, greeted with by her, and I feel really and truly part of something bigger than myself. And it's a holistic experience. Um, that is full of love. I mean, there's discipline. When that time comes for persons to be disciplined, as I say, tough love. But I've always ever felt as I'm part of a family, and there's equality and equity with everyone within the family.
Okay, enough said. And we, as your family, we totally support anything that you're doing. Not just you, any member of the family, we support you 100%. So okay. How do Trinidadians view, or Trinbagonians view, what is happening here in the U.S. and around the world with regards to the pandemic and the response to the pandemic in comparison to their current experiences as a nation? Because you see what's going on here. I've said that phrase many times. We are, well, the death rate is going up, the contamination rate is going up. We have a government, I call them a regime, that is not involved. They have distanced themselves from everything that is happening with regards to COVID-19. And it's pretty much the individual governors of each of the 50 states that is doing what they need to do.
Fend for yourself.
Pretty much, fend for yourself. So when, with your ear to the ground in Trinidad, how are they comparing their experiences with what they see going on in the United States and even other countries around the world? But let's say the United States, because this is pretty much the epicenter right now.
Yeah. Well, I think most Trinbagonians, when they indicate how they feel about Trinidad treating with the pandemic, the first country that they would like to compare it with is the US. And they always indicate that a country with so many resources, a million times over bigger and stronger than Trinidad and Tobago, that unfortunately it appears that the US is struggling with this particular pandemic. Um, and I guess it's because of differences of opinions with respect to treating with the situation itself. And that's why I objectively stated that I think, in terms of how the government dealt with the pandemic in Trinidad, they did well. The guidelines that were implemented, the strict measures, they did well. I mean, there are things, as I said, when the time comes, we will raise questions, we will be objective and indicate that we think that X should have been done better. Because as a responsible opposition, to be fair, we raised this issue of the pandemic since January. And we call for them to investigate this thing properly and to make a determination whether or not they should cancel Carnival or should put in strict measures for the celebration of Carnival, which they ignored at that point in time. Thankfully, they were able to revisit the situation in a prompt manner, in a informed manner, and we have the numbers that we have today, and we are in the process of reopening the country as we are today as well too.
Awesome.
So
Come home.
yeah. Well. Unfortunately, Auntie, you can't come right now. The borders are still closed. So,
Yes,
but I looking on. I mean, every day I ask Mom about how you guys are going, because remember,
it's tough mentally and emotionally. It's tough because, it's a disease or virus. You can't see it. We doing the best we can. I make sure I bought vitamin C, vitamin D, fish oil gel. I put it on the window by the kitchen. So, and I told Savor and his cousins, every day make sure and take one pill per bottle, because we have to keep your immune system up.
Correct,
Because I'm not going to encourage anybody to take the vaccine when it comes out, because a proper vaccine takes 2 years. This one, the virus has 32 or 23 strains of it. So, I mean, how you could put together a vaccine to, handle all those strains, or, take care of all those strains. So it's kind of tough. It's really tough. And honestly, the anxiety, Sean, is up here.
Yeah, I could imagine.
You could feel it bubbling under your skin, and then when this thing happened with George Floyd, it's like you exhaled, but the anxiety is still up here. But tell us about your platform. Tell us about your platform, and when you win, how you intend to implement that platform into the overall, dynamic of the politics of the country.
Well, I think what is so exciting about this particular election is that we have a lot of young persons coming on board to get actively involved in fighting this election. And I see it being manifested within the UNC and to some extent within the PNM as well. So I was very happy to see their pick for Point Fortin being that young mayor from Point Fortin, who did a pretty decent job as well too. Alongside with our representative in Point Fortin, Tahaka Obika, who's doing a phenomenal job in Point. But it's nice to see so many young people get involved. In particular with me in San Fernando. I think for some time I've seen so many other parts of the country just rapidly evolving and San Fernando just standing still. That so many promises.
San Fernando has a good mayor now with Junior Regrello. He's a good mayor.
But I hear what he said now.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you say now, but what he said before,
was standing still.
Was standing still.
So that what I want to see in San Fernando is evolution, and I think no MP for the longest while has really taken up the fight to evolve San Fernando the way in which it should. And the rest of the country has leapfrogged us by miles, and we need to really get our own in San Fernando.
So give me an example of some of the evolution that you would like to see? You know, give us an example of that.
So in my walkabouts, especially on Kings Wharf in San Fernando, Marbella train line and Bacadale. I mean, I remember the first time that I took a walk down to the train line because mommy would not let us go down there just
No,
so.
you wouldn't.
Right? But the first time that I went down there, I remember a guy telling me he wants to carry me by his beach house and we will roast fish and I thinking, what beach house is this man talking about? And when I went down there on an afternoon, a Sunday afternoon, it is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in the country.
Really?
Yeah, Marbella train line. And that train line, the old train line and the houses that run in a pool configuration along that seafront that spans as far as Mbacade and could run straight up to Cali, Vancouver.
Uh-huh.
It's one of the most beautiful parts of the country that people live on right now. Unfortunately, many administrations didn't take up the fight to really beautify that part of the country and uplift the persons who live there. Kings Wharf in San Fernando, where
Yes.
we used to frequent as kids with mommy to go and buy fishes, is a real dilapidated place currently. And I would want to see a lot of development take place on that Kings Wharf stretch, especially. Many people speak about the San Fernando waterfront and this, all these pie in the sky ideas as to what the waterfront should look like, costing billions of dollars, which honestly, right now, Trinidad and Tobago, we don't have, you know. But there are many things that we would like to put in place that wouldn't cost a lot of money, but would get buy-in from the community, from both business people within San Fernando and other people in San Fernando who
And
live there.
it also means jobs too. You're giving
Correct.
people,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So the idea we're looking at down in that area is going to be very inexpensive, and what we hope for it to mirror is something like Oistins in Barbados. Um, so it's kind of similar to Bourbon Street in Louisiana, but not so much. But what we want to have happen is that we want the land to be developed a bit, and then we would want to offer the land to business people within San Fernando who could take the land to the bank to get loans so they could come and develop the area, put restaurants, proper fishing facility,
Beautify it as well as again bringing jobs to the area.
and bring back a real vibrant street life to San Fernando down on the wharf. We were watching a movie the other day and Lauren was saying, hey, this would look good in San Fernando. What about a nice, riverboat running right on the wharf with lights in the night? And,
Yeah.
it's we want to make it very festive. We want to make it very attractive.
And San Fernando is the right place to do that,
Exactly, yeah. And it has been done in Trinidad. I don't think the last time when you came, did mommy carry up to the Chagramas?
She did. She did. We normally try to do that every time I come. I mean,
And
go,
how
but
much it has
yeah.
changed. And
Yeah.
that's something that we want to do in San Fernando. And that was actually done mostly by business people. So the government really didn't have much to do there in terms of spending with respect to infrastructural development. It was done by business people within Trinidad, within the Port of Spain area. And we have businessmen just as capable in San Fernando who could develop that waterfront. We just need to give them an opportunity.
Give them an opportunity to do that. So I like that plan. And of course, there's others that I will invite you back to talk about
Of course, yeah.
because you need to let me know when is election. Or I will try and see if I can stay on top of that, and we'll bring you back at least 2 months prior. I won't wait until the month prior, so that way we could go over some up-to-date stuff, okay? But thank you so much for being a guest on the People's Chat Room.
Thank you so
I
much.
love you.
Yes, I love you too. And I want to take this opportunity to formally and publicly and internationally to the world, because I know you have that type of viewership, to congratulate Daniel, your son, my cousin, who is now an attorney at law, licensed to practice in the state of Florida. Kudos to Daniel. I remember having that conversation with him about 2-3 years ago. And he's a person that I refer to many. And that's the thing, you don't know how much lives you touch without actually meeting anyone. A lot of the youths that I meet on our walkabouts, who they don't really have that drive to succeed and to get things done and execute. I remember having that and Daniel said it so casually, well, yeah, he's gonna do this law thing. And
said
then
he meant it. He said,
and boom.
he said
he
his
did it.
course study. He said how he's gonna. I mean, when he came home, what he was gonna do that day, and when he goes into that room and he's buckled down and he studied and he made it. He made it.
So
You know, and
congratulations.
you're part of that too. I mean, but we come from a family where, your grandmother would be proud. I tell you that. Okay. So we'll invite you back. You have a blessed day. Tell Lauren I said hi and your mom, and I'll talk to her later. All right.
No problem.
Love you and all the best. We'll bring you back. You're gonna win. San Fernando West is yours.
Thank you so much. Yes.
You're welcome, honey.
Okay then. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. So we're almost at the end, pretty much. And that was UNC attorney. Well, I shouldn't say the attorney. He is an attorney, but UNC Senator Sean Sobers. Our guest for today, GI Trini, was the DJ Spotlight. And we'll have Rio Nelson, our fitness and wellness instructor, on next week to have that conversation that we should have had today. The fight continues. I will say again, the fight continues. I need all of you all to please get out and vote in November. And between now and then, protest in your own way. Not all of us will be protesting on the streets. Some of us, I protest here on this program. Every Saturday I come in. This is my way of giving back. This is my way of standing up for what's right. You find your way. You find your niche. You find where you can protest in your own way. But the direction we all should be heading in after this is to vote. And when we've got them out of power, then we need to see what we can do as a people to take care of our own. Have a nice day. Oh, I just needed to come back on and say hi to our Facebook listeners. We've got Robbie's son, Adamski John, my niece, Paula King, Somervilla, Gilda. Hello, and Jasper Luca, and of course my sister. You all have a blessed Saturday. Remember, keep the fight. We are going to win in November. Find your way to protest. One more thing. One more thing. This show will be played in pre-recorded version tomorrow in its entirety, thanks code, on islandbeatradio.net tomorrow from 12 to 2 p.m. But every Saturday we're right back here on iTunesRadio.com. Next week our guest will be Dr. Lane Rollin and attorney Marlon Hill, running for District 9 in Miami. You all have a blessed one. This time I go on.